Section 4 of Great Events in the History of North and South America. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Kin Wah. Great Events in the History of North and South America by Charles Goodrich. Sebastian Cabot. Although the evidence of history establishes the claim of Columbus as the first discoverer of the New World, including in that term the West Indian archipelago, yet there were other meritorious voyagers who extended the knowledge of these new regions, thus laid open to mankind. Others there were who, stimulated by his success and following his steps, enlarged the boundaries of geographical science even beyond the actual discoveries of Columbus. Among these voyagers was the admirable Sebastian Cabot, whose merits have never been fully acknowledged as they deserve to be, having been overlooked, in a measure, through the greater admiration bestowed on his predecessor. He belonged to a family distinguished for their spirit of adventure, as his father before him was an eminent navigator, and he was associated with two brothers, apparently possessing the same love of a seafaring life. The father of Sebastian was an Italian, but the son was born in Bristol, England, in 1477. The family was fitted out with 5 ships, for the purpose of discovery, by the English government, who granted a patent under date of March 6, 1496, to John Cabot, the father, as leader of the expedition. He was, however, rather the overseer or adviser of the concern than the leader. The real conductor of it was Sebastian, who, through his modesty, failed to secure for himself that consideration from the world which was his due. His object, like that of Columbus, was to find a passage to India, but not in the direction which the latter took. The idea which possessed the mind of Cabot was that India might be reached by sailing northwest. He left Bristol in the spring of 1497, and on the 24th of June, in pursuing his course, he came unexpectedly, and to his disappointment, in sight of land, and was thus impeded as to his progress in that direction. It was the North American continent which he had approached. The land seen was the coast of Labrador, as also an island that received the name of St. John's Island, from the day on which it was discovered. Cabot has recorded, in all simplicity, how the affair happened. He supposed himself to be on the direct route to India. "But after certain days," said he, "I found that the land ran towards the north, which was to me a great displeasure." St. John's Island he describes as "full of white bears and stags far greater than the English." From this point he steered his course towards the bay, since called Hudson's Bay. But after several days' sailing, he yielded to the discontent of the crew, and returned to England. Cabot conducted a second expedition, which sailed from Bristol in 1498. He reached Labrador again, where he left a portion of his crew, in order to commence a colony, while he proceeded on his voyage. But success did not reward his attempt, and on his return to Labrador, he found the colonists, from the sufferings they had experienced in that cold and sterile region, clamorous for a return. He accordingly submitted to their demands, and, laying his course to the south as far as the Cape of Florida, he recrossed the ocean. The notes which he took of his voyage have unhappily been lost. In 1517 he was again employed in an expedition from England, but though he penetrated to about the 67th degree of north latitude and entered Hudson's Bay, giving names to various places in the vicinity, he was compelled to return, through the cowardice of an officer high in command, Sir Thomas Pert, and the disaffection of the crew. They had not the spirit to encounter the rigor and privations of the climate. Notwithstanding these and his subsequent services for his country, he was suffered in the end to fall into poverty and neglect. His life was filled with adventures and changes. For several years he was employed in the service of the King of Spain, and during one of the expeditions on which he was sent from that country, he made the important discovery of the Rio de la Plata. He occasionally returned to England, and at length made it his resting place. Gloom overshadowed his latter days. His pension, at the accession of Mary, was suspended for 2 years, and, though restored, it was diminished the 1/2. He survived to a great age, being over 80 years, dying as is supposed in London, but when, no record shows. Not the slightest memorial points out the place of his sepulture. It is quite certain that the date of Cabot's discovery of the western continent is more than 1 year anterior to that of Columbus, the latter having reached the southern portion of it August 1st, 1498, while Cabot reached the northern portion June 24th, 1497. Amerigo Vespucci, who has carried away the honor of giving name to the continent, did not reach it until nearly 2 years after the English adventurer. But Columbus, in his first voyage, having ascertained the existence of regions beyond the Atlantic, became in effect the earliest and real discoverer. Except for his sublime theory and adventurous experiment, the age, probably, would not have furnished a Sebastian Cabot or an Amerigo Vespucci. End of section 4.
Read by Kin Wah, Cookeville, Tennessee, June 21st, 2024.